Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I am finally getting around to filming my testimony. It is so much easier said than done, just let me tell you that. I've always been the sort of person that thought that I didn't have much of a testimony, but yeah, as soon as you go to write it down or film it, you realise that, wow, God has actually been crazy busy in my life, which is not a bad problem to have, is it? So yes, okay, so my testimony starts like so many other, girls in Christian families. I grew up in a Christian family. My dad's dad was a Baptist minister. My mum's parents were in the Methodist church. All my uncles and aunties, I think bar one, were Christian. So I feel like I just had the most, blessed childhood because my grandparents and my parents, my uncles and aunties, I just feel like I had so much, sown into my life, which has, really shaped and molded my walk with the Lord as I've become an adult, and I'm so thankful for that. I am one of three. I'm a middle child. I have an older sister and a younger brother. I am wife to Terry and mum to three kids, and I think I just went four. I have three kids, four if you count Terry. So yes, I will just go over bullet point style how God has worked in my life, because I keep this handy. This is like my mantra for life. Keep your timbrel on the ready, because I have just found that, God is just busy in our lives all the time, and we just need to be ready to praise and worship when we see His work in our lives, and it's all the time. So I will start back at the beginning. I was born in 1976, and I was born blind, which was quite a shock to my parents. I went on to have several operations to try and fix my cataracts, which ultimately led to my lenses being removed when I was 18 months old. So I needed to wear quite thick glasses from that point on, and that led to a lot of teasing and bullying at school. So I don't really have the most fantastic memories of yes, school. If only wearing glasses was the popular thing that it is at the moment, because yeah, it certainly wasn't at the time. And also I did wear very thick Coca-Cola bottle glasses, so yes, it was a bit unpleasant. But even with that, I can see how God used that situation to grow me in different ways and just mold me into the person that I've become today. So yeah, and then if I go on to, when I was a teenager, I was involved with youth group, and I loved that. I had friends in youth group that I still have contact with today. I had a mentor, her name was Claire. I still have contact with her, and she actually made this necklace that I'm wearing. So yeah, I had great youth group memories, youth group camps, conferences, and just really great things. Go on to meeting Terry when I was 17. Which is, meeting Terry was one of those, it obviously was such a God moment because of how random it was, but I would go on later to sort of question, like, God, what were you thinking? Like, we're such an unmatched pair, but I think that's just from my point of view, because I was a Christian girl in a Christian home, and Terry was I don't like to say an unbeliever, because he certainly does believe, but he's just gone everything but that last step of ultimate surrender and die to self. So that has obviously caused troubles in our relationship and in our parenting, and things that we have had to work through. So yeah, at times at low times I have asked God, why did you put me with somebody that wouldn't build me up in my walk with the Lord, and encourage me and pray for me and all that sort of thing. And but it's just, both my mum and I have received visions from the Lord, and not just that Terry will will come to the Lord and do, that final surrender, but that he'll actually be a force, for the kingdom. So, we don't have any doubts at all that Terry's salvation is secure, and that, he will get there. So, and there's been you would have to know Terry from the beginning to now to see how much God has worked in his life, but just trust me, it's crazy amazing. So to know that there's even more to come is pretty exciting. So then I went on to have my children. I had my children when I was 24, 25 and 28. They were, I had always wanted to become a mum. It's just something that I prayed for, that I just longed for, like you wouldn't believe. And, I didn't even realise at the time what a blessing it was to just try for children and have them. I didn't know anybody that had dealt with infertility. Just as far as I knew, people just decided it was time to have kids and they had them, and and that's what happened with me. And it wasn't until later, until I've had, and I now have several friends that have gone through infertility, that I've realised, we were just blessed beyond measure to just decide, okay, it's time to have kids. I remember being so upset because we were trying for our first for 1 month and I wasn't pregnant, and I was so upset about it. But, young. But anyway, so we go on to have our second child, and he is born blind, and that was completely out of left field because my mum had been told that my condition was not a hereditary condition, so we'd never had any reason to think that it was something I was going to pass on. And then my second son was born with it as well, but by that point we did know that there was a 50% chance, so we did, it wasn't a shock. But even when that happened, when our first son Jordan was born, and we were told that he was blind, that solid foundation that I had in God's hand being on all things is what helped me in that time. Because it's one thing to deal with these things yourself, with a disability and the bullying and the just having to wear glasses and the limitations and things, but it's completely another thing to have this child that you've prayed for, that you just love so much, and now that child is going to deal with the things that you did. Like it's next level torturous. So I was very, very grateful for the foundations that I had at that time. So yes, and then we go on. My kids are now teenagers, and trust me, I'm very glad for my solid foundation in the Lord now while I'm parenting teenagers, because it's fun, lots of fun. So, but there's been so many times in my life where this tambourine, has come out, and if I was to tell you all of them, which I tried to do originally, we would just be here all day, all night, and all week, and all month, and it would, which is like an amazing thing to have. But so I can't share everything with you, but one of the biggest things that the Lord has done for me, and that I will share because it's huge, is when I had to say goodbye to my dad. My dad went to be with the Lord 3.5 years ago, and if I didn't have the rock solid faith in the Lord and trust in his plans, I don't know how I would have survived it. Not so much the grief afterwards, because that's just terrible anyway, and it still is at times, but I know where Dad is. I know that I'm going to see him again. I know that he's free of pain. I know that, while it was the worst day for us, it was the best day for him. So the grief part, not so, so much, but where I saw God's hand crazy, next level amazing, was in about 3 weeks leading up to Dad's passing, where I had to learn to be happy with God's plan when I was unhappy with God's plan. I had to, let my dad go, knowing that knowing that it was going to be so terrible. It was going to be so terrible, and it was, and like I said, it still is sometimes, but I needed to lean on that, you know, even when it seems bad, you know, God uses all bad for good, and, you know, so much good, you know, came out of, you know, Dad's passing, which sounds so weird, doesn't it? But, you know, there were 211 people or something at his funeral, and the amount of lives that he touched and has continued to go on to touch, and it's just amazing to so tangibly be able to see, you know, God's hand, you know, in our lives. So I just wanted to, I hope I've, you know, I hope I've told you that in a way that actually makes sense as to, you know, how impactful it was for me to get through that period, to just lean on the fact that His plans are best, and even when it might not seem like it, or it really doesn't feel like it. But yes, so I'm very, very thankful for my faith in the Lord. I'm very thankful for the family that I was born into. We are part of a great church that I really love. I really love solid teaching. I love teaching that gets into the nitty-gritty. I love studying the Word. I did a couple of years at Bible college, and I loved it. I'm so tempted to go back. So I will, look into that. You guys have really enjoyed hearing about some of my testimony, and if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know when I put a new video up. We have a family channel, so there's all sorts of great content that you might find interesting. I also have a devotion that goes out every Monday and Thursday morning. So yeah, feel free to check that out as well. It will be in the devotion playlist. So yes, anyway, have a great week, guys, and I will see you soon.